The stars above the dark void looked calm. They always looked calm, even when war was coming. A convoy of alien ships drifted through the silence of space, their lights glowing like sparks across the black sky. Inside the lead vessel, the alien. Commander laughed. He had just received a strange message, and his crew thought it was nothing but a joke. The message had been short. Do not cross into Earth's region. Turn back. No threat, no demand. Just a warning, spoken in a human voice that sounded steady, confident, and unshaken. The commander replayed it again for the whole bridge. The crew erupted in laughter. They could not believe that such weak creatures dared to warn them. Humans, the commander sneered, his scaled mouth curling into a cruel smile. They still live under the illusion that they matter in this galaxy. We will crush them when we choose. But not everyone was laughing. On the far side of the bridge, a young alien officer shifted uneasily in his chair. His claws tapped against the console. Something about the message disturbed him. It was not the words. It was the voice. That voice had not trembled, not even slightly. It had spoken with certainty, as if the humans knew exactly what was about to happen. The officer whispered, "Commander, perhaps we should—" "Silence," the commander snapped. "You are young. You do not know the weight of power. We have armadas that have conquered 5 empires. We hold weapons that can split moons in half, and you suggest we fear Earth." The bridge filled with another round of cruel laughter. The young officer bowed his head and said nothing more, but inside he felt a chill. The fleet pressed forward. Dozens of ships, massive and glowing with weapons, cut across the darkness, toward the edge of Earth's claimed region of space. To them, it was nothing more than a backwater zone, a forgotten world barely worth attention. Yet the warning repeated. Again and again, the same calm human voice filled their comms. Do not cross into Earth's region. Turn back. This time the laughter died down. The repetition felt strange, almost haunting. The voice was never angry. It never shouted. It only repeated the same message as though the outcome was already decided. The commander ordered his fleet. Forward. Ignore it. It is a bluff. Humans have no power. They live under the shadow of the great empires. They cannot resist us. But in the quiet heart of space, the warning played once more. On Earth, far away from the alien convoy, the true story was beginning. Beneath the oceans of the Pacific, hidden from every alien eye, lay a base built in secrecy. No records in the Galactic archives mentioned it. No spy satellite had ever found it. Here, men and women moved like shadows, working silently, preparing for a moment they had trained for their entire lives. This was Earth Defense Command. For centuries, humanity had been underestimated. They had been mocked as latecomers to the stars. Many believed Earth had no real fleets, no real weapons, and no future among the great empires. But they were wrong. Humans had learned in silence, studied in silence, and built in silence. Now, the silence was ending. Admiral Rourke stood inside the command center, staring at the holomap. His face was weathered, his eyes sharp. He had been waiting for this day. Around him, officers and soldiers watched the same alien fleet markers appear. On the map, they were coming closer, ignoring the warning. "They never learn," Rourke muttered. His voice carried no fear, only certainty. A young officer spoke up. "Sir, shall we repeat the warning?" Rourke gave a short nod. "Yes, let them hear it. Again, let them make their choice." The warning was sent, echoing across the dark sea of stars. The Admiral's calm voice carried the weight of Earth's hidden strength. "Do not cross into Earth's region. Turn back." He folded his arms and waited. His people did not panic. They did not shout. They waited in silence because they already knew what would happen if the aliens chose arrogance. Back in deep space, the alien fleet commander grew restless. The repeated warning was no longer amusing. Some of his crew whispered about the humans. Stories were spreading in hidden corners of the galaxy. Stories about lost scout ships near Earth's borders, fleets that had gone missing, and whispers of weapons no one had ever seen. But the commander crushed such talk. "Superstition," he growled. "The humans are weak. We will prove it by entering their space openly." The fleet pressed on. Then something strange happened. One of the ships on the outer flank went silent. No distress signal, no explosion, just silence. One moment it was. There, the next, it was gone, as if swallowed by the void. The commander frowned. What happened? No one had an answer. The young officer looked at his screens in shock. "Sir, the ship is gone. No debris, no signal, nothing," the commander growled. "A malfunction, that is all. Continue forward." Minutes later, another ship vanished, then another. Panic began to stir on the bridge. "They are being picked off," someone whispered. "Something is out there." The commander slammed his fist down. "There is nothing. Do not let fear control you." But fear was already spreading. In Earth's hidden base, Admiral Rourke watched the alien fleet shrink. He said nothing. His officers said nothing. Only the silent markers on the holomap told the story. Alien ships were vanishing without a sound. Human stealth fleets were already at work. Cloaked vessels drifted in the darkness, invisible to alien sensors. With each silent strike, another ship was erased. Rourke finally spoke. "They chose arrogance. They will pay the price." In the alien flagship, the commander finally snapped. "Enough, send out probes, find what is destroying us." But the probes revealed nothing, just darkness, just silence. Then, across every ship in the fleet, the human voice spoke again. For the first time, it was not a warning. It was a promise. "You were warned." The crew froze. The words came from inside their ships, bypassing their systems, echoing from nowhere and everywhere. It felt as though the humans were already standing in the room with them. The young officer's claws shook as he whispered, "Commander, we should turn back. This is not a bluff. This is something else." The commander's pride boiled over. "No, we are stronger. We will crush them." But outside, in the endless dark, the stars seemed to flicker. Shapes moved where no shapes should exist. Massive. Shadows shifted across the void, too large to be ships, too silent to be natural. The alien crew felt their courage drain away. One by one, their hearts filled with dread. On Earth, Admiral Rourke's voice carried across the command center. "They will not escape. Lock them in." Invisible grids closed around the alien fleet, trapping them inside Earth's region. Every escape route vanished. Every jump path collapsed. They were prisoners, and they did not even realize it yet. The Admiral stared at the holomap. His voice was calm. The warning was clear. Now they will learn what it means to ignore Earth. In deep space, the alien commander finally understood the danger. His pride wavered as he stared at the flickering stars, the silent destruction, and the voice that had haunted his fleet. For the first time, he wondered if the humans had never been weak at all. Perhaps the humans had been waiting, watching, preparing, and now the silence was breaking. The commander gave one last desperate order. "Signal the galaxy. Tell them we are under attack." But no signal left their ships. The humans had already cut them off. The fleet was alone, surrounded by shadows that struck without warning. The crew's laughter was gone. Their confidence was gone. All that remained was fear. The young officer's claws trembled as he whispered the truth no one wanted to hear. "They told us to turn back, and we did not listen." The first battle had not even begun, and already the galaxy would soon hear. Whispers of what had happened. A warning had been given. A warning had been ignored. And now Earth would show the universe why it was a mistake. The silence before the storm had ended. The war for survival had begun. The galaxy watched with eager eyes. In countless alien homes on distant planets lit by strange suns, screens glowed with the image of a vast armada. Thousands of warships floated proudly, banners of empires fluttering. On their hulls, broadcasters announced with triumph that Earth would soon fall. They told their people that humanity was weak, a forgotten world with no allies and no real power. But something strange was happening. The first fleet, the vanguard sent to test Earth's defenses, had gone silent. Not a single signal, not a single scrap of debris had been recovered. An entire squadron of ships had simply disappeared. The empires called it a malfunction. They said it was impossible for humans to destroy them. Yet deep inside their hearts, commanders and civilians alike felt a creeping unease, because somewhere in the blackness of space, near the border of Earth's region, a warning had been sent. A warning ignored, and silence had followed. Far away, hidden beneath the waves of the Pacific, Admiral Rourke stood inside the command chamber of Earth Defense Command. His officers were tense, but his face remained calm, carved with years of iron discipline. Before him, the holomap glowed with red markers, the second alien fleet. Bigger, stronger, louder than the first. They were coming with arrogance, certain of victory. They believe the first fleet suffered technical failure, said one of his officers. They think humans cannot fight back. Rourke's eyes narrowed. Good. Let them keep believing. Their arrogance will blind them until it is too late. The chamber was silent, except for the hum of machines. The walls were reinforced steel. The lights dim, they're heavy with tension. Every man and woman here had sworn to defend Earth, and now their time had come. They will not reach our world, Rourke said. Not one of them. In orbit above the moon, Earth's hidden war machines were awakening. Massive hangars opened, releasing sleek black ships into the void. They were built in silence over decades, unseen by alien spies, hidden under layers of deception. Each vessel carried weapons the galaxy had never witnessed. Some looked like ordinary warships, but others carried secrets so advanced that even Earth's own soldiers whispered about them. With awe, these were the Defenders. In the shadow of the moon, hundreds of cloaked drones drifted outward like sharks circling prey. Their purpose was not to fight openly, but to hunt quietly, striking unseen and leaving only wreckage. Around them, enormous battlecruisers shifted into formation, their engines silent as death. Commander Elena Vasquez stood on the bridge of one of those cruisers, the Iron Vow. Her dark hair was tied back, her eyes sharp as steel. She had trained for this moment since she was a child. Like many in her family, she had grown up knowing that Earth's enemies would one day return. She had promised herself she would be ready. "Captain," her second officer said, pointing at the radar, "the alien fleet has entered our sector. Thousands of ships. They are spreading wide, confident." Elena's lips curved into a thin smile. "Confidence makes them weak. They cannot imagine losing. That is why they will." She stood tall, watching the enemy approach. Her voice rang with certainty. "We are the defenders of Earth, and today the galaxy will remember us." The alien fleet approached the borders of Earth's claimed region. The lead commander, an arrogant warlord named Takar, stood proudly in his throne-like chair. He was twice the height of a man, with thick scales covering his body and eyes that burned with cruelty. Around him, officers laughed and mocked the humans. "Pathetic creatures," one said. "They hide on their small blue world, thinking their oceans protect them. We will burn it to ash." "Let them cry," another sneered. "The galaxy will see how weak they truly are." Takar raised his clawed hand and silenced the bridge. "Today, we erase the last doubt. Today, the galaxy learns that no world is beyond our reach." His voice was loud and proud, but even he remembered the strange reports from the First Fleet. Ships gone missing. Silence where there should have been wreckage. Still, his pride was too great. He would not admit fear. "Send the message across all channels," Takar commanded. Tell every empire to watch. Earth will be crushed before their eyes. Broadcast signals raced across the stars. Billions tuned in, waiting for humanity's fall. But on Earth, Admiral Rourke was already moving his pieces. Phase 1, he said calmly. Across the void, hidden ships activated. Energy pulses cut through alien channels, scrambling their communications. Entire squadrons found their sensors blind, their scanners showing only empty space. Confusion spread. "Sir," shouted one alien officer, "our radar is failing. Our maps show nothing but darkness." "Impossible," Takar roared. "Humans cannot blind us. Fix it." But they could not fix it. For every attempt to reset, the humans sent another invisible strike. The alien fleet was strong, but strength meant nothing when you could not see the enemy. Then came the first blow. A massive explosion tore across the flank of the alien formation. A warship larger than a city split in half, its burning pieces tumbling into the void. Shock spread through the fleet. They had not seen what hit them. They had not even detected movement. Another explosion, another ship gone. Panic stirred. "Where are they?" Takar demanded. His officers scrambled, shouting useless reports. Their eyes darted across screens that showed only static and blackness. Then the voice came, the calm, steady human voice. "You were warned. Turn back." Every alien froze. The words came from their own comms, cutting through their channels with absolute authority. The voice carried no anger, no fear, only certainty. In the command chamber on Earth, Admiral Rourke watched the alien markers blink out one by one. His officers sat in silence, their eyes locked on the holomap. Each red dot that vanished was another ship erased from the galaxy. "They do not understand what they are facing," one officer whispered. Rourke's gaze hardened. "They will, soon." On the Iron Vow, Commander Vasquez gave the order. "Release the Shadow Swarm." Her crew obeyed. Hundreds of cloaked drones rushed forward, slipping between the alien ships. They were small, almost invisible, but deadly. Each carried a payload strong enough to crack open a cruiser. They moved like wolves through a herd, striking fast, vanishing. Just as quickly, alien screams filled the comms. Ships burst apart in waves of fire. Takar's officers panicked, shouting over one another. "We are surrounded. They are everywhere." But they could not see where the attacks came from. To them, the humans were ghosts. In the galaxy beyond, billions of alien viewers sat frozen. They had expected a quick victory. They had expected human wreckage. Instead, they were watching the mighty fleet of Takar fall apart. "Impossible," whispered a merchant on a distant station. "Humans cannot do this," muttered a soldier on a border world. But the evidence was clear. The invincible armada was crumbling before their eyes. Takar roared in fury. His pride boiled, but deep inside his heart, fear clawed at him. He had mocked the warnings. He had laughed at the silence. But now he realized the truth. The humans had never been weak. They had been waiting, watching, preparing. For the first time in his life, Takar felt powerless. "Pull back," he shouted. "Pull back now." But when his officers tried to open escape routes, they found none. The space around them had been locked down. Every jump path, every exit sealed by human technology. The alien fleet was trapped, and Admiral Rourke's voice carried once more across their comms, calm as death. "There is no escape. You were warned." On Earth, silence filled the command chamber. Everyone knew what came next. Rourke's voice cut through the air like steel. Phase 2. End them. The storm was coming, and the galaxy had only begun to see the truth of humanity. The alien fleet drifted in silence. Once proud and loud, filled with shouts of confidence, now their comms were quiet, except for whispers of fear. Dozens of their warships were gone, erased as if swallowed by the night. No explosions, no wreckage, only sudden absence. On the flagship bridge, Commander Takar's eyes burned with rage, but even he could not hide the flicker of dread in his heart. his mighty armada, which once stretched like a wall of steel across. The stars now looked broken. He had prepared speeches of victory to broadcast across the galaxy. Instead, his fleet was shrinking before his eyes, and then it came again, the voice, calm, human, impossible to block, impossible to trace. You were warned. This is your last chance. Every officer froze. The words echoed across the bridge as if the humans stood right behind them. Some turned their heads, expecting to see someone in the shadows. But there was no one. The young officer from before, the only one who had urged caution, felt his claws tremble. The voice was too calm, too certain. This was not a bluff. This was not desperation. This was confidence, and confidence meant preparation. "Commander," he whispered, "we must listen. This is not like other wars. This is different." Takar snarled, his pride warring against his fear. "No, I will not bow to humans. I will not retreat." But deep inside, even he began to wonder, what if the humans had been hiding their true power all along? Far away, inside Earth Defense Command, Admiral Rourke watched with sharp eyes. The alien fleet blinked with red markers, each one representing a warship. Slowly, steadily, those markers disappeared. "Phase 1 complete," said an officer. "Their outer ships are gone. Their formation is breaking." Rourke gave a cold nod. "Good. Fear will eat them alive before we even fire openly." The room was heavy with silence. Every officer felt the same truth. They were not fighting just with weapons. They were fighting with fear, and fear was stronger than fire. On the Iron Vow, Commander Elena Vasquez stood firm on the bridge. Her eyes never left the enemy formation. Around her, her crew moved with a quiet precision. Every strike from the shadow drones was deliberate, every disappearance timed to increase confusion. "They are unraveling," her second officer said, watching the alien fleet twist into chaos. Elena's voice was steady. "They came expecting to crush us. Instead, they cannot even see us. That is what breaks them." She raised her hand. "Continue. Do not let them rest. Make the silence heavier. Let the darkness surround them." Her words carried through the crew. No shouting, no cheering, only discipline. They all knew what was at stake. Humanity had been underestimated for too long. Tonight the galaxy was watching. Tonight the galaxy would see the truth. Inside the alien fleet, the whispers began. "What if the stories were true?" One officer said quietly. "Stories?" Another snapped. About the humans, about the fleets that never returned, about the silent bases beneath their seas, about the weapons no one has ever seen. "Lies," the commander growled. But the fear in his eyes betrayed him. The whispers spread across the fleet. Every crew, every soldier, every officer began to doubt. They could not see the enemy. They could not fight what they could not find. And in the darkness, their imagination became their worst enemy. Then the voices began, not just the human warning, but whispers, distorted echoes across the comms, voices calling their names, voices of their lost comrades, voices of fear. A pilot heard his mother's voice. Another heard his dead captain's cry. The sounds twisted their minds, breaking their courage. "Commander," an officer stammered, "they are inside our systems. They are inside our ships." Takar slammed his claws against his chair. "No, it is trickery. Fight back!" But no one moved. The crew was paralyzed. In Earth's hidden base, Admiral Rourke observed quietly. His officers controlled the psychological warfare systems, flooding alien comms with false signals, echoes of voices drawn from intercepted transmissions. "Fear will do half our work," Rourke said. "By the time we strike openly, they will already be broken." One of his officers asked, "Admiral, what if they call for reinforcements?" Rourke's eyes narrowed. "Then the galaxy will learn the same lesson. Earth will not bow. Not again. Not ever." The galaxy was watching. Billions of alien citizens had tuned into the live broadcast, expecting to see human defeat. Instead, they watched an armada collapse in confusion and terror. On a trade world, a group of merchants whispered to one another, "How is this possible? The humans have no fleets." On a mining colony, a child clung to his father's hand. "Father, are the humans stronger than the empires?" The father said nothing. He did not know the answer. But everywhere, fear spread. If humans could do this to such a massive fleet, what else were they capable of? On the alien flagship, the young officer finally stepped forward. His voice trembled, but his courage pushed him. "Commander, we must retreat. Pride will not save us. Our fleet is dying. We must turn back." Takar glared at him. "Coward!" The officer held his ground. "No, I am not a coward. I am a soldier who sees the truth. We were warned, and now we are being destroyed piece by piece." Takar's claw tightened on his weapon. For a moment it seemed he might strike the officer down, but before he could act, the ship shook violently. Lights dimmed, alarms blared, another ship in. Their formation had vanished. Only this time, it was not a cruiser, it was a battleship, one of their strongest, one of their symbols of power. Gone. The bridge fell into silence. No one laughed, no one mocked, no one spoke. The humans had erased their pride in a single strike. On the Iron Vow, Commander Vasquez received the report. She said nothing, only nodded. Once, her second officer whispered, "That was one of their largest ships. The galaxy saw it happen." Elena's eyes hardened. "Good. Let them all see. Let them understand what Earth has become." In the alien flagship, the silence broke. Officers began shouting, some begging to retreat, others demanding a final charge. Chaos reigned. Takar roared above them all. "Enough! We will fight! We will burn them!" But before his words could take root, the voice returned. The human voice, calm, steady, certain. "This is the end. You will not leave alive." The words echoed across every ship, across every system, across every heart. Some officers dropped their weapons in despair, some prayed to forgotten gods, and some, for the first time in their lives, realized that humans were not weak, humans were predators, and they had walked willingly into the predator's den. Inside Earth Defense Command, Admiral Rourke gave the final order, Phase 2, begin the storm. Every human ship moved as one. The silence ended, weapons roared. The darkness lit with fire, and the alien fleet, once proud and certain of victory, faced the full fury of Earth. The echoes of fear had broken them. Now the storm would finish them. The sky above Earth tore open with fire. Every satellite, every hidden station, every underground base came alive at the same moment. Thousands of missiles rose through the clouds, streaking toward the alien fleet like burning spears. Laser grids lit the darkness, cutting through enemy ships with deadly precision. For the first time, Earth's weapons no longer hid in silence. They roared. The alien fleet was caught unprepared. Commander Takar's flagship shook as alarms screamed through the decks. His crew scrambled to respond, but half their systems were already blinded by interference. Plasma fire from Earth's ground batteries punched holes through his cruisers. The ships that had mocked Earth's defenses were now burning wrecks. "They should not have this power," one officer gasped, watching the tactical screen collapse into chaos. "This world should be weak." Takar gritted his teeth, his pride now mixed with fear. "Weak? Look at them! This was never weakness. This was deception." On the Iron Vow, Commander Elena Vasquez stood at the center of her bridge. Her voice was calm, but her crew felt the weight of every word. Target their battleships. Do not waste fire on the small ones. Break their pride first. Her order spread through the fleet. Human warships uncloaked, no longer hiding. Sleek, angular destroyers and massive carriers appeared like shadows rising from the sea. They moved with perfect coordination, their weapons glowing, A single battleship from the alien armada turned its massive guns on the Iron Vow. The crew braced for impact. The enemy fired. The energy beam streaked across the void. "Shields!" Vasquez barked. A blue wall of light flared around the Iron Vow. The beam struck, but the human shield held, rippling like water under pressure. Gasps echoed across the alien fleet. Humans had shield technology far beyond what they believed possible. "Return." "Fire!" Vasquez ordered. The Iron Vow launched a spread of missiles. They weaved between enemy fire like predators hunting prey. The alien battleship tried to counter, its defense turrets spinning, but the missiles moved too fast. One by one they slammed into its hull. The battleship erupted in a wave of light, split in half, and drifted into the void. The galaxy was watching. Billions, who had tuned in to see human destruction, were now silent, their screens filled with the sight of a human fleet tearing an empire's armada apart. Inside Earth Defense Command, Admiral Rourke leaned over the holographic table. Red dots vanished one by one as the alien ships fell. His face was cold, his eyes sharp. "Do not celebrate," he told his officers. "They are still dangerous. This storm has only begun." One officer nodded nervously. "Sir, their reinforcements may already be on the way." Rourke's jaw tightened. "Then let them come. The first strike is only the opening message. We will show the galaxy what happens when you bring war to Earth." In the alien flagship, panic spread like fire. "They destroyed a battleship," one officer screamed. "We cannot hold against this." Takar slammed his claw into the console, sparks flying. "Silence! You will not break now. Fire everything. Burn their world." The fleet obeyed, unleashing a wall of plasma toward Earth. From orbit, it looked like a storm of fire descending. Entire cities could be erased in a single volley. But Earth was ready. Hidden shield grids powered by deep-core reactors came online, wrapping entire regions of the planet in shimmering light. The plasma slammed into them, bending and scattering, leaving the cities untouched. Across the world, billions of humans looked up from their streets and rooftops, seeing the sky blaze with war. For the first time, they did not feel powerless. For the first time, they saw their world fight back. On a mining colony light years away, a family huddled around a broadcast screen. They had expected to see Earth's burning. Instead, they saw alien ships crumbling. "Father," the child whispered, "the humans, they are winning." The father's voice was low. "Not winning. Showing the galaxy they are not prey." Back. In the battle, Earth's fleet pressed harder. "Cut through their flank," Vasquez commanded. Human destroyers darted forward, striking at weak points. Precision fire ripped through enemy armor, tearing engines apart. Cruisers exploded, their debris scattering into the void. But the aliens fought back fiercely. Dozens of human ships were caught in enemy fire. One destroyer vanished in a burst of flame, its crew gone in an instant. Another carrier shook violently as plasma tore across its side. The battle was not without cost. On the Iron Vow, Vasquez gripped the edge of her chair. "Hold the line. We knew this would not be easy." Her crew obeyed, their faces pale but determined. Humanity had waited for this moment for generations. They would not falter. Commander Takar stared at the collapsing fleet, his pride bleeding away. Every lesson he had been taught about humans was a lie. They were not weak. They were not fractured. They were a force that had hidden its true strength until the perfect moment, and now that strength was tearing his empire's fleet apart. "Commander," his young officer said, voice shaking, "we must retreat. We cannot win." Takar's claws trembled on the console. Retreat was shame. Retreat was dishonor. But staying meant annihilation. Before he could decide, the voice came again. Calm. Human. Certain. "You were warned. You should have listened." Every officer froze. The voice was not on their comms. It was in their heads. Every crew member across the fleet heard it, as if the humans were standing beside them, whispering into their souls. Panic erupted. Some officers fled their posts. Some fired blindly into the void. Entire crews collapsed under the crushing weight of fear. Takar roared, trying to hold them together. "Stand and fight! Do not let them break you!" But it was too late. The first strike had shattered their spirit. On Earth, Admiral Rourke gave the final order of the opening battle. "Drive them from our skies." The human fleet surged forward, striking with coordinated fury. Missiles, lasers, and kinetic rounds hammered the alien ships. One by one they fell, burning across the void, and when the smoke cleared, Earth stood, her fleets battered but unbroken, her skies scarred but shining. The alien armada that had promised to conquer Earth now drifted in ruins, broken ships scattered. Across orbit, silent reminders of their arrogance. But Admiral Rourke did not smile. He looked at the remains of the enemy and spoke the truth no one else wanted to hear. This was only the first strike. Their empire will not forget this. They will return, stronger, angrier. He turned to his officers, his voice steady as stone. "We must be ready, because the storm has only begun." And deep in the silence of space, as the fires of battle still burned, the galaxy whispered in fear. The humans had struck, and nothing would ever be the same again. The council chamber of the Zalnari Empire trembled with rage. Across the vast chamber, carved from black stone and lit by pillars of fire, the Empire's rulers gathered. Hundreds of governors, admirals, and lords filled the tiered seats, their voices a storm of anger. At the center, seated on a throne of steel and bone, was High Sovereign Korith. His cold eyes glowed in the dim light as reports streamed in from the front. Their grand fleet, once thought unstoppable, was gone. Thousands of warships had entered Earth's skies. Only a fraction had returned, limping and broken, the chamber filled with shouting. "They destroyed our armada." One governor cried. "Impossible," another roared. "No world has ever done this to us." "They must have allies," one admiral growled. "No single species could stand against the Empire alone." But the truth was undeniable. The humans had stood alone, and they had shattered the Empire's pride. High Sovereign Korith raised his clawed hand. Silence fell, heavy and sharp. His voice was deep, steady, but filled with venom. "Do not speak to me of impossibility. What has happened, happened. Our fleets were broken by a species we thought weak, a species we thought beneath us." He leaned forward, his burning eyes sweeping across the chamber. "Tell me, my lords, who underestimated them? Who told me that Earth would fall in days? Who promised me that their cities would burn without resistance?" No one answered. No one dared. Korith's claw struck the arm of his throne, cracking the steel. "Then hear me well. If a single human can stand against the Empire, then none of us are safe. Their world will not remain standing. We will not rest until Earth is ash, and every human is dust." The chamber erupted in roars of approval, but even among the shouts, fear lingered. On the edge of the council chamber, Admiral Yoral remained silent. His scales were pale, his eyes sharp. Unlike the others, he had studied the humans for years. He had warned that Earth was not what it seemed. No one had listened. Now his warnings had become truth. As the council roared for war, Yoral's thoughts darkened. "Strike again, and we may break them," he thought, "but strike without caution, and the humans may break us instead." He knew something the others did not. He had seen recordings, strange, shadowy ships, human weapons that defied explanation. The humans had revealed only a fraction of their strength. What else were they hiding? Meanwhile, across the galaxy, the news spread like wildfire. On trade worlds, merchants whispered in fear. If Earth can do this, no empire is safe. On mining colonies, workers gathered around screens, watching replays of human ships tearing through the Empire's fleet. "Did you see it?" One miner said. "Their weapons cut through battleships like they were nothing." Maybe the humans are not prey, another muttered. Even on neutral worlds, leaders began to question their alliances. If the Empire could be defeated by humans, then perhaps siding with Earth was safer than obeying their rulers. The galaxy's balance was shifting, and everyone felt it. Back on Earth, Admiral Rourke met with his commanders in the underground war chamber. The holographic map showed the shattered remains of the alien fleet still drifting near Earth's orbit. "They will not stay humiliated," Rourke said firmly. "They will come again with greater force. And when they do, they will not underestimate us." Commander Vasquez stood at his side, her eyes burning with resolve. "Then we prepare. Whatever they bring, we must be ready." Rourke nodded. "Earth has shown its teeth. Now we must show our jaws." The officers around the table exchanged grim looks. They all knew the storm was far from over. In the Zalnari capital, High Sovereign Korith held a private meeting with his most trusted warlords. The chamber was sealed with black iron, guarded by soldiers who would kill without hesitation. Korith's voice was low, filled with venom. "The galaxy is watching. They must see strength. They must see fear. If we do not crush Earth now, other worlds will rise against us." One warlord slammed his fist against the table. "Then let us bring the full weight of the Empire, not a fleet, an armada. We will drown their skies in fire." Another snarled in agreement. "Yes, burn their oceans, crack their mountains, leave nothing alive." But Admiral Yoral finally spoke, his voice calm but sharp. "If we bring the full Empire and fail, the galaxy will see weakness greater than any before. We must study them, learn their weapons, strike with precision, not rage." The warlords growled at him, calling him a coward, but Korith raised his claw. "No, he speaks truth. We will not rush blindly. We will send scouts. We will send assassins. We will learn their secrets before we strike again." His eyes burned brighter. "And when we strike, it will be with fire so fierce the humans will beg for extinction." Far from the Empire's capital, in hidden tunnels deep beneath Earth, scientists worked tirelessly. Strange alien wreckage lay scattered across vast hangars, recovered from the battle above. Engineers studied their systems, stripping them for secrets. One scientist, her hands trembling with excitement, whispered, "They're reactors. They are powerful but flawed. We can adapt this. We can make it stronger." Another pointed to alien weapons mounted on the walls. "They're plasma arrays. If we integrate them into our fleets, we can double our firepower." Admiral Rourke toured the hangars, his face grim but proud. "Take what you can. Every weapon they brought to destroy us will now defend us." But deep in the wreckage, strange signals pulsed. Broken alien ships still whispered to one another, sending faint transmissions. Into the dark, hidden codes, hidden warnings, and somewhere far beyond the stars, those signals were heard. The Empire now knew more about Earth than before, and Earth, without realizing, had left a trail for their enemies to follow. In the Empire's throne room, sovereign, Korith received the reports, his lips curled into a cruel smile. "They think themselves clever, salvaging our weapons. Let them. We will feed them false codes, false strength, and when they rely on it, we will crush them." The warlords roared in agreement. Admiral Yoral remained silent. He saw the trap, but he also saw danger. If the humans were truly as adaptable as they seemed, they might turn even a trap into an advantage. For the first time in his long career, Yoral felt something he had never known before, fear of another species. Back on Earth, the people celebrated. Across cities and colonies, humans cheered as news spread of the alien defeat. For once, humanity was not the victim. Humanity had stood, and humanity had won. But Admiral Rourke did not join the celebrations. He stood at the window of the war chamber, staring into the stars. "They are coming," he whispered, "and next time they will not come to test us. They will come to erase us." Commander Vasquez joined him. "Then we will meet them, and we will show them again why they should have listened to the warnings." The stars outside seemed peaceful, but both knew the truth. The storm was building, and the Empire's response would shake the galaxy. The assassin reached Earth without being seen, wrapped in living shadows, hidden inside a stolen freighter. He passed through the outer defenses like a ghost. His ship carried false codes, false cargo, even false heat signatures. To every scanner, he was nothing more than another piece of drifting junk. But inside, his claws were sharp, and his orders were clear. Find Earth's leaders, kill them, break their strength before the Empire returned with fire. His kind were bred for this. Silent killers, masters of infiltration. Entire civilizations had fallen not to fleets, but to the blade of his people. And now, Earth would learn fear in the shadows. In the underground command center, Admiral Rourke was already uneasy. Reports had begun to arrive. Strange disappearances, missing supply convoys, power failures in cities far from the front. Too many to be coincidence. "They are probing us," he muttered. Commander Vasquez stood at his side. "You believe the Empire has already sent spies?" Rourke's jaw tightened. "Not spies. Killers. They know they cannot beat us head-on. Not yet. So they will strike in silence." He looked across the table at his officers. "Every shadow could be their weapon. Every signal a trap. Trust nothing. Question everything." The officers nodded grimly. They had survived the first strike, but this was a new kind of war. In the slums of New Shanghai, the assassin moved, unseen. His body shimmered with cloaking scales, blending with walls and crowds. His eyes glowed faintly, scanning every face, every movement. He could smell fear, taste it on the air. He found his first target, a human scientist, one of the minds, who had helped unlock alien weapons from the wreckage. The Empire feared her brilliance more than any fleet. If she lived, Earth would grow stronger. If she died, Earth would weaken. The assassin followed her through the market. She laughed as she bought fruit from a vendor, her guard down. He slipped. Closer, claws ready, but then he stopped. The fruit vendor looked up, eyes sharp, watching him directly. A silent signal passed between the vendor and the scientist. They knew. The assassin froze. In an instant, armed humans emerged from the crowd, rifles aimed. Soldiers hidden as merchants, guards hidden as beggars. Even the scientist herself smiled coldly. "You thought we would not expect you," she said softly. The assassin hissed, spinning away. Plasma shots tore the air where he had stood. He leapt onto the rooftops, vanishing again. The humans chased, but he was gone. The shadows had begun to move. Back in the Empire's capital, High Sovereign Corith listened to the first reports. The assassin failed, his warlord admitted. The humans were ready. They anticipated him. The chamber shook with growls of anger. Corith's voice was like thunder. "One failure means nothing. Send more. Send hunters. Let them bleed in their own homes." Admiral Yoral spoke cautiously. "Sovereign, every failure will only teach the humans more. They adapt, they watch, they learn faster than any species I have seen." Corith's eyes burned with hate. "Then we will drown them in shadows until they choke." On Earth, the war of silence spread. Power plants exploded without warning. Communications blacked out. A military general was found dead in his own home. His throat cut by a blade no scanner could detect. Fear crept through human cities. Civilians whispered in the streets, "Are the aliens here? Can they see us?" But Admiral Rourke did not waver. He gathered his officers in the war chamber. "They want us afraid. They want us divided. We will not give them that." He pointed to the map of Earth. Red marks covered it, every site of attack. "We hunt them. City by city, street by street, every shadow they hide in will be burned away by our light." Commander Vasquez nodded sharply. "Then let's drag them out of the dark." In the forests of Siberia, a small human unit tracked another assassin. Snow fell in silence. broken only by the crunch of boots. The soldiers moved carefully, weapons raised. Somewhere in the white wilderness, their enemy stalked them. A soldier vanished with a scream, pulled into the trees. Blood sprayed across the snow. The unit spun, firing into the forest. Shadows shifted. Claws slashed. The assassins struck fast, then disappeared. Fear rippled through the humans, but their captain held firm. He lit a flare, casting the forest in red light. "There!" he shouted. The assassin's cloak flickered, exposed by the heat of the flare. The humans opened fire, bullets and plasma tearing through the trees. The assassin leapt, claws flashing. But a single well-aimed shot from the captain pierced his skull. The body fell, smoking in the snow. The captain spat. "Not so hidden now!" Across the planet, stories like this repeated. Assassins came and humans adapted. Each time, Earth lost people. But each time, Earth learned faster. Engineers built scanners to pierce cloaking fields. Soldiers trained in darkness, learning to fight enemies they could not see. Civilians formed watch groups, reporting anything unusual. The assassins came as shadows, but Earth learned to fight in the dark. In the Empire's throne room, more reports arrived. Dozens of assassins dead, dozens more missing. Korith roared in fury. "How can they resist? They are nothing." Admiral Yorol finally spoke with iron in his voice. "Because they are not nothing. Every attack we send only makes them stronger. Every assassin we lose teaches them. We are sharpening their blades." For them, the chamber grew silent. For the first time, the warlords began to doubt, but Korith only narrowed his eyes. "Then we will no longer hide. If shadows fail, we will bring fire. The Empire will answer with war beyond imagining." On Earth, Admiral Rourke stood with Commander Vasquez on the balcony of the command center. The night was quiet, but both knew it was only temporary. "They tried to break us with shadows," Vasquez said softly, "and they failed." Rourke's face was hard. "Yes, but this was only their test. Their real answer is coming." He looked up at the stars, his voice cold as steel. "And when it comes, Earth must be ready to strike back harder than ever before." High above, in the silent void of space, wreckage from the first battle still drifted. Twisted metal, shattered, ships, burned weapons. But in that silence a new sound stirred. Engines, far beyond the wreckage, far beyond the light of Earth, an armada was gathering. Bigger than before, stronger, deadlier. The Empire's shadows had failed. Now came the fire. The stars lit up with fire. From the black void, the Empire's armada arrived, ship after ship tearing out of hyperspace. The fleet stretched across the horizon, so vast that it blotted out the starlight. Battleships the size of cities, carriers holding entire armies. Dreadnoughts armed with weapons strong enough to crack planets. It was the largest force ever gathered against a single world. Inside the flagship, High Sovereign Korith stood at the viewing deck. His cold eyes burned as he watched Earth's blue. Sphere turn slowly below. "This is no raid," he said to his gathered warlords. "This is no shadow war. This is extermination." His fleet spread across the system like a storm of steel. Thousands of ships formed walls of firepower, ready to fall on Earth. The galaxy watched in silence. Billions tuned into broadcasts, certain this would be the end of humanity. The fire had come. On Earth, alarms blared in every city. Underground bunkers sealed their gates. Civilian ships rushed into deep shelters. The night sky filled with the glow of defense shields rising over continents and oceans. In the command center, Admiral Rourke stood before the massive holographic map of the system. Red marks filled the screen, each one an enemy ship. The scale was staggering. "They brought everything," whispered one officer. Rourke's voice was firm. "Good. Then when we break them, there will be nothing left to send." Commander Vasquez stood at his side, her jaw set. "Sir, their numbers." "Numbers mean nothing," Rourke cut her off. "They underestimated us before. They believe numbers will save them. but numbers cannot protect them from what we have prepared. In orbit, the human fleets began to uncloak. Warships slid from the shadows, their hulls gleaming under the light of Earth's sun. Carriers opened their bays, releasing swarms of fighters. Drones poured into space like an endless tide. But the human fleet was still smaller, far smaller. Even with every hidden weapon, even with every trick, Earth was outnumbered 10-1. The Empire believed that would be enough. The first shot was fired by a human destroyer. A single missile streaked into the void, striking an enemy cruiser. The explosion ripped the alien ship apart. That single shot shattered the silence. The battle began. The Empire's armada moved as one, unleashing a wall of plasma and fire. The void turned into a burning storm. Human ships scattered, their shields glowing as they absorbed the onslaught. Some fell instantly, torn apart by the sheer weight of firepower. But the humans struck back. Hidden satellites powered by deep core. Reactors activated, unleashing beams of energy that sliced through dreadnought armor. Asteroids that had long seemed harmless cracked open, revealing concealed weapons that hurled molten metal into the enemy fleet. From the surface of the moon, cannons roared, firing projectiles at near light speed, smashing through ships that had thought themselves untouchable. The Empire had come with fire, but Earth answered with its own. Commander Vasquez shouted orders aboard the Iron Vow. Left flank hold, push their carriers back. Do not let them deploy ground forces. The ship shook under enemy fire, sparks raining across the deck. But her voice never wavered. Target their command ships, break their chain of control. Human missiles weaved through the storm, guided by AI faster than any alien system. Carriers erupted into flame, their fighter bays torn apart before they could launch their swarms. But still, the Empire pressed forward. Their numbers pushed the humans back, inch by inch. For every alien ship destroyed, 3 more took its place. On Earth's surface, civilians watched the sky as streaks of fire crossed above. Cities trembled with each impact, mountains shook as orbital strikes landed on shield barriers. The world itself seemed to groan under the weight of the storm. Yet, the shields held. Towers of light wrapped around continents, bending enemy fire away. Children clutched their parents' hands. Soldiers stood ready in bunkers. Across the globe, one thought burned in every mind. Hold the line. Inside the Empire's flagship, Sovereign Korith watched with a cruel smile. They are brave, he admitted, but bravery cannot stop a storm. He turned to Admiral Yoral. Send the order, bring in the second wave, crush them beneath our numbers. Thousands more ships surged forward, filling the void with fire. Yoral obeyed silently, but in his heart, unease grew. Every time the humans should have fallen, they endured. Every time they should have broken, they struck back harder. Something inside him whispered that this battle would not end, as the Sovereign believed. Admiral Rourke stood unshaken in the war chamber. His officers reported losses, desperate calls for reinforcement, collapsing defenses. But he remained cold as iron. Activate Phase 2, he ordered. Across space, human ships pulled back, retreating into a tight formation. The aliens roared in victory, believing their enemy was breaking. They surged forward, chasing, but the humans had lured them into a trap. The void itself exploded. Dozens of cloaked mines activated, releasing shockwaves that tore through the Empire's center. Entire squadrons vanished in flames. Then, hidden, human fleets uncloaked from behind, cutting into the alien rear. The Empire's armada staggered, their formation collapsing. Rourke's voice was sharp. Now, strike with everything. The humans surged. Fighters swarmed carriers, dropping charges that ripped their hulls apart. Destroyers targeted engines, crippling ships and leaving them drifting helpless. Drones dove into weak points, detonating. Inside hangars, one by one, the Empire's mighty ships fell. But the humans paid in blood. Dozens of ships lost, thousands of lives. The Iron Vow shook under heavy fire, its shields flickering. Commander Vasquez held firm, her voice steady even as flames licked the walls. "Keep fighting. As long as we stand, Earth stands." The galaxy watched in silence. What had been promised as Earth's destruction had become something else. A war no one had expected. A war where humanity, against impossible odds, stood unbroken. On distant worlds, whispers spread. The humans cannot be stopped. In the Empire's flagship, Sovereign Korith roared in fury. His fleets were falling, his numbers failing to crush this single world. "This is impossible," he shouted. Admiral Ural looked at him, his voice low but certain. "It is not impossible. It is humanity." The battle raged for hours. Space itself seemed to burn, filled with wreckage and fire. Both sides bled. Both sides refused to yield. And as the smoke cleared, as the wreckage drifted, Earth still stood. The Empire's greatest armada had come with fire. And though the humans had been scarred and battered, they had not fallen. In the command center, Admiral Rourke gave the order that would echo across the galaxy. "Transmit this signal to every world. Let them see the truth." Screens across star systems lit up. Billions saw the wreckage of the Empire's armada burning above Earth. Billions saw the human fleet still standing, and billions heard Admiral Rourke's voice. "You were warned. This is Earth. This is humanity. Cross us again, and you will find only ruin." The galaxy had never seen silence like this. For centuries, alien wars had raged across the stars. Armies marched, fleets clashed, and empires rose and fell. But after the battle at Earth, the galaxy went quiet. News spread faster than light, carried on hidden channels, whispered across stations, broadcast to worlds both free and enslaved. The Empire's greatest armada was gone, a fleet that had stretched across the heavens, a force built to crush entire civilizations now floated in ruins above the blue world called Earth. The impossible had happened. Humanity had endured. Humanity had won. And now everyone waited for what would come next. On Earth, the survivors of the fleet limped back into orbit. Warships scarred and broken, fighters running low on fuel, drones drifting, their circuits burned out. Yet still, the humans held formation. Their banners lit the dark. Even damaged, their fleet looked unbroken. Inside the command chamber, Admiral Rourke stood at the center table. His face was lined, his uniform torn, but his eyes burned with the same fire as before. "They came with everything," he said. His voice was steady. "They thought we would fall in a single strike, and now their fleets rot among the stars." Commander Vasquez leaned forward, her voice sharp. "Admiral, the question is what comes next. The Empire will not forget this. If we wait, they will rebuild. They will come again." "They will," Rourke said. His hand touched the map. "But this time they will fear us." In the Empire's capital, Sovereign Korith sat in his dark throne room. The screams of his advisors echoed through the chamber as they gave their reports. 70% of the armada destroyed, one said. "Billions in resources lost," another whispered. "Worlds are rising in rebellion. The outer colonies no longer obey. They believe the humans are unstoppable." Korith's fist slammed against the throne, his voice a growl of rage. "Unstoppable. They are mortals, a primitive race. How dare they defy me?" But even as he raged, fear gnawed at him. He had sent his greatest force. He had promised the galaxy that Earth would burn. And instead, his empire had bled. For the first time, the sovereign of the stars felt the shadow of doubt. Admiral Rourke stood before the fleet. His speech was transmitted not only to Earth, but across every listening channel. In the galaxy, this battle was never about numbers. It was never about size. It was about survival. They thought we were weak. They thought humanity would bow. He looked into the cameras, his words a blade of iron. "We do not bow. We warned them once. They ignored us. Now their fleets drift." as wreckage in our sky. Let all who hear this know, Earth stands ready, Earth stands unbroken, and if you come against us, you will not return." The galaxy trembled at those words. For some, it was a warning, for others, a promise, and for many, it was a spark of hope. On distant worlds, slaves lifted their heads, colonies whispered of rebellion. Soldiers who had long served the Empire began to question their loyalty. If humans could stand against the great Empire, then perhaps anyone could. Whispers grew into voices, voices into shouts, and shouts into fire. Across the Empire's outer rim, uprisings began. Ships seized by rebels, garrisons overthrown, flags burned, all of it born from the wreckage above Earth. Back on Earth, Rourke faced his council, Vasquez, engineers, generals, scientists. They argued late into the night. "Strike now," one general said. "The Empire is weak. We can push into their space." "No," a scientist argued. "We must rebuild. We barely survived. Another battle on that scale could finish us." Vasquez's eyes narrowed. "Admiral, we cannot let this pause be wasted. Every day we wait, they rebuild. Every day we wait, they plan. The question is not if they will return. It is when." Rourke listened in silence. He knew the truth of it. Humanity had survived the fire, but survival was not enough. The reckoning was not yet finished. Far across the stars, Admiral Yorel stood in the Empire's fleet yards. He had once believed in the Sovereign's vision, but after Earth, something inside him had broken. He had seen the humans stand against impossible odds. He had seen courage where the Empire had shown only arrogance. And now, as he watched rebellion spread through the Empire's colonies, he wondered if perhaps the humans were not the threat, but the answer. His loyalty wavered, and in the shadows he began to plan. The galaxy stood on a knife's edge. The Empire cracked, rebellions rose, and Earth faced its choice. Would humanity strike and finish what the battle had started? Or would it hold the line and wait for the storm to return? The final council gathered inside the great chamber beneath the mountains of Colorado. Leaders from every nation, every branch of humanity, sat at the long table. The scars of war marked them all. Admiral Rourke stood at the head. "We are no longer fighting only for Earth," he said. "The galaxy is watching. They have seen what we can do. They have seen we will not break. Now we must decide. Do we carry this fire into the stars, or do we guard our home and let the galaxy burn?" Silence filled the chamber. Each leader weighed the cost. Each leader felt the weight of billions of lives. Finally, Commander Vasquez spoke. Her voice was sharp as steel. "If we wait, they will strike again. If we only defend, we will fight forever. But if we carry this fight to them, if we strike at their heart, we end this war before it begins again." Her words cut through the silence. Heads turned. Eyes hardened. The decision was made. The fleet gathered once more, though smaller and battered. Ships scarred from the last battle. Engines worn. Crews weary. Yet every soldier stepped forward without hesitation. This was not only defense, this was reckoning. The humans would not wait for the storm to return. They would carry the storm into the Empire's heart. As the ships lifted from Earth, millions watched from the ground. Children waved. Families whispered prayers. Soldiers saluted. The fleet rose into the dark sky, its engines blazing like fire. Humanity was leaving not as prey, not as victims, but as warriors. In the Empire's throne world, Sovereign Korith prepared his defenses. His fleets rebuilt in secret. His armies drilled without pause. He believed he could still crush the humans, that his empire could rise again. But in his heart, doubt grew stronger with every passing day. And when the human fleet emerged from hyperspace, above his world, when their banners filled the skies, when the people he had enslaved rose up in rebellion to greet them, he understood the truth. This was the reckoning. The battle for the Empire's heart began. Human warships struck with precision, cutting through defenses. Rebel uprisings ignited across the planet below, tearing apart the chains of centuries. The sovereign's throne trembled as the walls of his empire collapsed. Admiral Rourke's voice carried across the battlefield. You were warned. You would not listen. Now you will answer. The fighting burned for days, but the outcome was never in doubt. Humanity, scarred yet unbroken, tore down the Empire's fleets. The rebels, inspired by Earth's victory, rose in waves, and in the end the great sovereign fell. His throne shattered, his empire burned, his armadas broken. The galaxy changed forever. No longer ruled by fear, worlds began to rebuild. New alliances formed, old enemies found peace, and through it all one truth was spoken again and again. It was Earth that had stood. It was humanity that had endured. It was humanity that had brought the reckoning. Admiral Rourke stood once more before the galaxy. His words carried across stars, written into history. This is not the age of empires. This is not the age of rulers and chains. This is the age of freedom. Remember this day, and remember the warning. Humanity stands, and if you come to break us, you will only break yourselves. The galaxy roared with hope, and above the stars, the banners of Earth flew, not as conquerors, but as defenders of all who refused to bow. The reckoning was complete, and humanity had won.